Mark, and he's a good friend of mine. We debate. We definitely debate. And I think it's important to debate. I can give you 2 Corinthians. And by the way, if you're a Christian who's listening to my voice right now and you're thinking to yourself, well, you shouldn't debate, you're going to have a problem with a lot of verses, particularly when you get to the epistles. But I'll give you one just to chew on. Go to 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5. We are commanded to tear down strongholds, ladies and gentlemen. And then if you don't agree with that verse, you can go to 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15. We are supposed to make a defense. Guys like Dr. Mark and Felix, and the Rev I call him, they're good friends of mine. But my goodness, I gotta love them enough to tell them that they're wrong. Do you understand me, Christian? What do you do? You do some kind of drive-by evangelism program? Here, just read this. You throw a gospel tract at them. Look, I know some people do that. I've done that myself. But when you finally get an opportunity to sit down with somebody and chat with them about the gospel, how do you do it? Do you think about it? Do you give them time to think? Or do you buckle in your own little world, in your own little bubble, and you'd rather not? Yeah, I don't want to make anybody upset. And besides, you can't really debate with anybody. Doesn't the Bible say somewhere you shouldn't get in pointless arguments? Oh, I agree, you shouldn't get in pointless arguments. But you got to give people the benefit of the doubt. You got to use discretion, use discernment. Don't get in arguments and fights. But the very word debate actually means just having a conversation with opposing view. Like I'm having with Dr. Mark right now. Nice guy, friendly, nobody's biting each other's neck, like a vampire. We're just chatting. And we disagree with each other. Whoa! That's not popular these days. You got to be politically correct, and you got to not argue with anybody. And my goodness, if you're a Christian, whoo, don't talk about sin, man. World hates that stuff. Well, anyway, this is Chad the Challenger with 1,000,000% Radio. I'm on with Dr. Mark, and he's a good friend of mine. I'm going to chat with him a little longer about evolution creation. And Dr. Mark, that's because you guys are like brothers. Well, you shouldn't. He's awesome. I love Felix. I call him my Goombadi. Don't you argue with him. Well, you know what? You guys do get into a little bit of heat. But you know what? I think it's because you really care about each other and you want to be able to get your view across. Well, we're talking about evolution and creation with Dr. Mark here. He's graciously called the show, and I appreciate it. I was supposed to have somebody call. By the way, if you're listening to my voice right now, call this number, 646-595-3275. If you disagree with me, or if you disagree with Mark, call. Talk to us. He's just hanging out on the show today. I'm the host of the show, 1,000,000% Radio on the CC Radio Network. And I love talking to people because I care about what you think. If you're an evolutionist, I'm a creationist, let's chat about it. Don't be afraid to call. 646-595-3275. And I understand people don't like to call Mark because they can't really explain evolution. And it's very difficult, I know, for them. They don't want to get into these discussions because, quite frankly, they don't know what to say. Could it be, Mark, that the information I give you is correct? I said it could be possible, Mark, and I'm not saying this out of pride, but it could be that because the information I'm giving you is correct, and there's no way around correct, because right is right and wrong is wrong, and you really can't mix the two together, can you? Okay. Well, let me ask you this question: do you find a lot of your colleagues, a lot of your Jewish brethren, you would call them, do they tend to fall on the evolution side of things, or do they tend to think a little different than you and think more creationism? Sure. Well, y- yeah. Well, let me ask you. Let's go back to this topic now. I'm really curious how you're going to respond to this, Mark. I want to. I know that you come from a very conservative background, and that. But I'll say this just as kind of a closing note on your background. Just because somebody has a conservative view. Well, it seems like you've come from a pretty religious background, is all I'm getting at. People with good morals, they maybe tend to fall on the side of God, but then they have some liberal views too. I mean, especially when it comes to maybe free choices, maybe when it comes to evolution and creation, they tend to fall on certain categories. But what I'm about to share with you, Mark, I think is fascinating. And if you're interested in getting taught something new tonight, I'm very excited to bring this to you because I think this is going to help you with your evolutionary belief. Now, I just want to clarify for the people listening out there, Dr. Mark believes in a macro evolutionary theory. There's approximately 6 types of evolution. Now, 5, I believe, are religious, strictly. I don't think that they are real in the sense that we could prove it. I think there's only one kind of evolution, and really it should just be called varieties of kinds, but for the sake of this talk, so that people know what I'm talking about, we'll call it microevolution. I certainly believe in microevolution. That's when a species can have a variety of its own kind. A finch can grow a big beak, a little beak, but it's still a finch. Bacteria can grow in different forms, but it's still bacteria. Various bugs can be still a bug, and their various species. Dogs, big dog, tall dog, thick hair, little hair, fur hair, shedding hair, no shedding hair, is still a dog after everything is said and done, and it comes from its own kind. It's the only way we can confirm it. Mark and the rest of the listeners need to understand something. We don't have any proof of macroevolution. And I'm saying that with love, of course, for you, Mark. There is no proof, none, that we can observe for macroevolution. And I want to quote something for you. And this is something Darwin said in The Origin of the Species. Now, I'm going to quote it. I see it here in this little booklet, but I'm actually going to quote it verbatim as it's stated in The Origin of the Species. He says this, and this is kind of a mouthful, but I'm going to tell you exactly what it is he's saying. And if you disagree, please call. Please call. The number is area code 646-595-3275. That's 646-595-3275. If you want to speak to Chad the Challenger about evolution and creation, are you an evolutionist? Because I'm a creationist. I believe that God literally created in 6 days. He rested on the 7th. I believe he did it with no problem at all. And he did it with the whole light years away. We can explain what that is tonight as well. But first, let me quote this, and this is going to help Mark and maybe the rest of the listeners. Darwin said in The Origin of the Species this quote, and I quote, "If it could be demonstrated that any complex organ existed which could not possibly have been formed by numerous slight modifications, my theory would absolutely break down, but I cannot find no such case." Now let me explain to you what he said there, and I'm going to read the quote again so you fully understand what we're dealing with. What he's saying is, if you cannot find over millions of years little changes, in a micro sense, I suppose, but if you cannot find the existence of one animal turning to another through a long, numerous, slight modification process, then he said, don't listen to my theory. This is what Darwin said. He said, my theory would absolutely break down, but then he backs it up by saying this, but I can't find no such case. Okay, well, unfortunately for you, Darwin, living in the 1800s, do not have the technology to understand what we understand now. And what I'm about to share with you is incredible, because I'm about to share something with you called irreducible complexities. Now, that's a real big fancy word, but irreducible complexity, especially when it comes to molecular machines, is an incredible stationary design of a thing. Okay, it is a, for instance, when we have a giraffe, I'm going to give you guys a giraffe as an example here. A giraffe can grow up